The silence in the royal observation spire was a living thing, thick and watchful. Below, the central plaza of the celestial queendom swirled with controlled chaos, a tapestry of silks and polished biometal. The air smelled of ozone and night-blooming Sirius. From her vantage, the queen watched the final preparations for the accordance gala, her mind only half on the diplomatic choreography. The other half was, as ever, on the old words, the prediction carved into the foundation stone of their lineage. It spoke of a fall, a great terror, and a savior from the stars, who would be known by a sign known only to the royal line. Her daughter, the little princess, stood beside her, a small figure in resplendent formal wear. The child's attention, however, was not on the spectacle below, but fixed on a view screen displaying the arrival queue of alien dignitaries. A new ship, blocky and utilitarian, had just landed in the tertiary port, a place reserved for minor envoys and trade delegations. Its markings were unfamiliar. The queen placed a gentle hand on her daughter's shoulder. "You are quiet today." The little princess did not look away from the screen. Her small body was rigid. On the display, the airlock of the utilitarian ship opened, and a figure emerged. He was tall for a human, clad in a simple weathered environment suit, its original color faded by radiation and time. He moved with a tired efficiency, accepting a data slate from a port official with a slight nod. His face was lined, his hair cropped short, and his eyes held a distance, as if he were forever looking at something far beyond the physical horizon. The princess's breath hitched. Her small hand came up, a single finger pointing at the screen. Her voice, when it came, was not the clear bell of a royal air, but a thread of sound, awed and terrified. "Mom." The queen leaned closer, her heart beginning a slow, heavy drum against her ribs. "It's him," whispered the little Princess Dot, and the queen understood. The prediction was real. The sign, the invisible mark sung of in the prophecy, was plain as day to the royal sight. It glowed around the human, a silent, brilliant testament. This was no diplomat. This was the one foretold. But he looked like a tired mechanic, a lost pilgrim. The man processed through customs without incident, listed as a technical consultant for a small xenobiological survey firm. He was given a room in the lower spire barracks, far from the glittering halls. The queen acted with precision. She did not summon him. Instead, she arranged a minor systems malfunction in the lower spire's environmental controls, a fault that would require a technician with broad-spectrum experience. His name, culled from the manifest, was on the work order. He arrived at the designated service junction outside the royal gardens with his toolkit. The queen and her daughter observed from a concealed balcony, the scent of starlight orchids heavy in the air. He worked with a quiet competence, his hands sure and swift. He did not look like a savior. He looked like a man fixing a broken pump dot. It was then the terror arrived. Sirens, sharp and brutal, shattered the gala's melody. The sky above the central plaza darkened, not with cloud, but with the grotesque organic shapes of the scourge drones. They descended like metallic locusts, weapons firing searing purple beams of disintegration energy into the crowd. Panic erupted. The Royal Guard's energy bolts spattered against the drones' carapaces with little effect. The scourge had come, just as the prediction warned, to decapitate the queendom at its moment of celebration. From their spire, the queen watched in despair as her finest warriors fell. The plaza became a slaughterhouse. The prediction spoke of a savior, but where was his power? She looked desperately toward the service junction. He was gone. On the plaza floor, chaos reigned. A group of royal guards and terrified nobles were pinned behind the shattered remains of a decorative fountain, the drones closing in. Then, a new sound cut through the din, not the shriek of energy weapons, but the solid, percussive thump of projectile fire, He walked into the center of the plaza, having shed his technician's overtunic. In his hands was not a blaster, but a heavy, solid-looking rifle of ancient design. He moved not like a soldier taking cover, but like a sculptor assessing stone. He fired. The report was a physical shock in the air. Where the energy bolts had failed, his solid slugs succeeded. The first drone shattered, its core rupturing in a shower of sparks and viscous fluid. He fired again and again. Each shot was deliberate, economical, devastating. He targeted joint seals, sensor clusters, power conducts' weak points, invisible to the Queendom's scanners. He was not fighting the drones. He was dismantling them. A drone swooped directly at him, its beam carving a molten line in the pavement at his feet. He did not flinch. In one smooth motion, he slung the rifle, grabbed a canister from his belt, a common industrial solvent pressurizer, and hurled it. The canister flew true, intersecting the drone's beam. It detonated in a cloud of corrosive vapor that ate through the drone's casing, sending it spiraling into its fellows. He was a single point of terrible. Simple physics in a battlefield of failing advanced energy. He used the environment, a fallen guard's power pike, jury-rigged as a conductor, to electrify a pool of coolant. A data terminal's power cell, thrown into the intake of a hovering drone, causing it to seize and explode. He was not magical. He was practical. He understood failure points, leverage, and kinetic force in a way the Queendom, with its elegant technology, had long forgotten. The Queen watched, the prediction burning in her mind. This was the sign, not of a shining warrior, but of a universal truth made flesh. While the Queendom built layers of beautiful complexity, this human understood the foundational laws. He did not violate the drone's shields. He ignored them. He did not overpower their beams. He redirected them. He was the embodiment of a different principle. The simplest solution is often the most profound. The tide turned. Emboldened by his example, the remaining guards began to coordinate, using his methods. They aimed for the points he had revealed. They used their environment as weapons. The scourge assault faltered, then broke. The last drone was smashed from the sky by a repurposed grav-lift plate he had wedged under a structural beam, creating a colossal kinetic launcher. Silence returned, broken by the cries of the wounded and the crackle of fires. The human stood amidst the wreckage, his rifle now silent, his chest heaving. He was smeared with grime and coolant. He looked even less like a savior, just an exhausted man in the ruins. The Queen, the little princess beside her, descended to the plaza. The crowd of nobles, guards, and aliens parted for them, a sea of awed and frightened faces. They stopped before the human. He looked at them, his distant eyes finally focusing, showing not pride, but a deep, weary sorrow. The Queen did not bow. She spoke, her voice carrying across the silent plaza. The prophecy spoke of a savior from the stars, marked by a light only we could see. It said he would stand against the falling sky. She gestured at the wreckage around them. You have done this, but your power is not what we imagined. The human finally spoke, his voice gravelly and low. There's no power here, just different kinds of breaking. You all build things to last, to be perfect, my people. We've always been good at seeing how things break, and how to break them first. He looked at the terrified face of the little princess, and for a moment his stern expression softened. Sometimes, to stop one break, you have to make a smaller one. The little princess stepped forward, no longer afraid. She looked up at him, then at the strange utilitarian rifle. You fixed it, she said, not meaning the environmental controls. He gave a slow, small nod. After a fashion. The Queen understood then the full meaning of the prediction. The Savior was not a warrior god. He was a technician of conflict, a master of critical failure. His sign was not a badge of glory, but a testament to a harsh, universal literacy, the literacy of limitation, of stress, and of simple, undeniable force. In a galaxy that sought ever more complex shields, he was the reminder of the immutable power of the hammer. The galaxy would call him the breaker of sieges. The simplicity in the chaos. The queendom would build him statues. But in that moment, he was just a man, tired from the work of breaking, so that others might continue to build. And the little princess, holding her mother's hand, knew she would never look at the universe or its elegant, fragile creations in quite the same way again.